Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with my weekly recap, breakdown, and review of the latest episode of FX on Hulu's American Horror Stories. We're talking episode 5, which was titled Ball. And listen, this episode has some drama, has some juiciness, has some thrills, some kills, and a plot twist that we're going to break down all in this spoiler review. But before we dive into it, make sure you all are checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing to the channel, and while you all are at it, make sure you hit that notification bell. That way you all can get the alert from when I drop new content. If you all enjoyed this spoiler review of episode 5 of American Horror Stories, make sure to like the video and share the video. It helps out the channel a lot, but I also appreciate all the support. And in those comments, let's talk all things episode 5. What'd you think of the characters, the narrative, the thrills, the chills, the kills, the plot twists? Were you disappointed by this episode? Let's discuss it all. And since we talk about it every single week, where does this episode rank for you all? Is it number 1? Is it number 5? Let's discuss it in the comment section. So just my initial thoughts coming off this 5th episode. I'm not gonna lie, I've been extremely disappointed by this spinoff. I'm gonna say that right off the bat. But like I said last week, at least last week for me, and I know some people hated last week's episode. It was my favorite of the season. I thought it was purposeful, meant to be cringeworthy, and we were supposed to hate the characters. And I just had a good laugh. I had a good time with the thrills and the kills, and obviously Danny Trejo as the wild man. And I was hoping that that episode was gonna maybe carry some of that momentum into the 5th episode. And listen, there were some moments that I enjoyed with this episode. The drama was really there, right? And we'll talk about it, obviously, in the twist and the demon and all that stuff. But overall, man, the pacing of these episodes have been so inconsistent and just been like, I don't know, man. The pace, I don't know if these stories were like recycled or thrown away ideas from years ago that they didn't want to put into the American Horror as like a entire season, and they went dumpster diving and picked up some of these stories, because I just find some of these narratives to be really uninteresting and really not fit in that mold of an American Horror Story. But neither here nor there. We'll break it all down. It wasn't the worst episode, but it damn sure wasn't the best episode. But we'll talk about it here. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. So let's get into the recap. As we're introduced to our main characters of the story, we meet Liv and Matt, played by Billy Lohr, who I'm a big fan of. I love my personal favorite Billy Lohr performance comes from Scream Queens. I love the first 2 seasons, particularly the first season. And we obviously know Billy Lohr has been part of the American Horror Story lore, but we meet her and her husband. They've been trying to have a kid for the last 2 years, and we see that, Matt's going off to the car. He seems like a supportive husband. I knew right off the bat, I'm like, dude, once Bernadette mentioned who Bernadette is, the main front desk lady, the receptionist, once she said, oh, he has good looks and he's charming, I'm like, okay, it's too good to be true, right? So I already knew off the bat that something was up with him, and we'll obviously talk about Matt later. But she talks to Bernadette, and Bernadette gives her the totem and has been in her family, and it can help them get the kid. And we fast forward and see 16 months later, they now have this kid by the name of Aaron, and we see that Liv doesn't feel like she's a competent mother. She doesn't feel the connection between her and her son Aaron. She doesn't feel like she's supportive enough, or she's not there enough, and the baby hates her, and all the narratives that we've seen in these type of stories. More recently, I don't know if you all saw on Hulu, actually, A24 film, False Positive, I believe was the name of it. Kind of similar vibes in regards to the family not being able to have kids, and supernatural elements come into play. But we've seen this story before, right? And particularly, we've seen the narrative of the husband calling the wife insane or crazy or making up things, and we see that with this episode as he recommends her to go to a therapist, which I thought was just kind of more, we obviously know what his angle was, and we'll talk about it here in a bit. But all of that stuff to me was just kind of, it was an interesting setup, but this is where the episode to me starts to go off of the deep end, and particularly the story, the narrative, and also the acting. And this is where we see that she takes the advice from the therapist. She does like a bath type of therapy with her child, and she seems to be connecting to the child. We see that Matt is an actor, and obviously he's acting in a pretty interesting role of his lifetime, right? He's acting, and she notices that the totem has been changing in the baby's crib, and she's freaking out. And obviously at this point, she is seeing things in the monitor. And again, the acting, I love Billy Lohr. Don't get me wrong. I know some people are probably gonna rave and talk about her performance was great, but I thought her direction I thought the intentions of the character were there, and I thought Billie Lourd gave it her all, but I think the direction she was given was just too over the top for me personally. And I know this is American Horror Stories. Again, it's meant to be over the top, right? It's meant to be kind of like crazy and kind of fantasy world or whatnot, but I just found her acting, especially when she's like yelling at Matt and yelling at the demon, and just many various scenes in this episode where I just thought like the direction she was given was just playing it too over the top for me and not grounded into reality. And that's just me personally. Again, I know some people are probably like, what are you talking about? Billie Lourd was great. She was the best part of the episode, but at the same time, I don't think that means that necessarily was a good thing. I think that her performance wasn't all that great, but I really kind of give it towards the direction she was given. Also, the script wasn't all that great neither. But let's get into more of the meat and potatoes of the episode as we're starting to see the ruse kind of show its ugly head and kind of what Matt's intentions are as he invites his best friends to the house, and they're playing this random game of a Ouija board, and the Ouija board tells them that he wants that the demon wants the child, and we even see Billie Lourd's character Liv hear the decoding the message of I want the baby, which to me again was just like too over the top and just like, okay, can we get to some good stuff here? Which it does take a while to finally get this. And one of the most worst scenes to me is when she was yelling at the demon through the glass window. It was just kind of like, I was checked out. I would say once we hit like the 25-minute mark, to me, that's when the episode kind of went downhill from a story, a narrative, and also, like I said, the performances were just more particularly our main character, who, again, it's weird to say that Billie Lourd was the best part of the episode, but also her performance to me and her direction that she was given was the worst part of the episode. But we finally see Liv after, this torment, this demon. She finally goes to Bernadette, and Bernadette gives her backstory that her and her family were into witchcraft and all this different stuff, which to me was kind of harkens to the American story lore, the lore with coven and obviously witchcraft and all the different stuff. And she gives her this kind of spell, which we see her perform, which again was a kind of silly scene when she's performing the spell, and then Matt walks up behind her and she stabs him in the neck. And I actually thought that she was going to kill him, but no, he's just injured. We see that again. This goes back to the tropes of horror stories. She's given and she's put into a psych ward, which again is like, how many times have we seen this? The woman's crazy, the man is the one that puts her in there. It's just like the tropes in these seasons have been so kind of ridiculous. But nonetheless, we end up seeing, which I thought was, decent at best. We see the ball demon come to life, and, we see the whole ruse that Matt made it all up. He's an actor. He's been pretending to be in love with Liz. He just wants her for her money. Everything's been fake. The demon, the ghost in the house, all that different stuff, the scratches on the wall is all made up. But at the end of the day, is it made up? No. The big twist is that the demon does actually exist, and we end up finding out that Liz summoned the demon. It has a hold on the demon. It commanded to kill the people, which again, like I said, the most decent part of the episode was when he was ripping out the guts, splitting off their heads. That stuff was fine. I just wish it was kind of dark, so you really couldn't see all the blood and the gore that I was hoping for, because it's just like these people are obviously terrible, and I wish we would have seen the brutality of that demon going ham on them. But nonetheless, we wrap up with Matt in prison, and he tells her that, yes, I didn't really love you. I didn't really want a child. I just wanted you for your money. And again, the over-the-topness of Billie Lourd's performance when she's just on the phone, like, why would I help you, blah, 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 and the back and forth conversation. And he's like, the demon really exists. And this is where we transition to the final scene where the ball demon's all, which looks like the demon from the Tom Cruise film in the early 80s or mid 80s. It comes in the house and like, release me. And then she's having the conversation with Aaron. She's like, I'll release you once you give me another child, alluding that she's been having sex with this demon, which again, for my juiciness drama, I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty funny that she's been having sex with a goddamn demon. She's been planning this whole time. So the twist was like, okay, sure, the twist is interesting, and she's been having sex with the demons. It's pretty funny. But overall, man, just wrapping up this review, I don't know what the purpose of the show is. I would have been so happy if this was like such a great appetizer to set up the main course meal, which we're going to be getting in a couple weeks with the 10th season of American Horror Story. But this spinoff has been so lackluster, so underwhelming. I had fun with episode 4. I have moments that I enjoy, but not cohesively speaking. This has been a train wreck. I mean, this has been really bad writing. We talked about the performances of episode 1 and 2, and I'll even throw in, again, Billie Lourd was the best part, but her direction wasn't that great. I am going to stick around. I'm going to finish this out. I'm almost halfway. We're more than halfway there. We got episode 6. We got episode 7, which I don't want to give too much away, but I know that episode 7 will tie into a story that we've seen in this spinoff, which I'm not looking forward to. But overall, guys, I'm just not impressed. I haven't been pleased with this so far, but again, I'll be back, and hopefully episode 6 is fantastic. But hey, that's just my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a discussion about it. If you love this episode, I'm glad you did. Talk about some of the reasons you really enjoyed the narrative, the story, the twists, the turns. If you didn't like the episode, let me know that as well, and let's just have a good discussion about it in the comment section. If you stuck around to the end of this video, I appreciate every single one of you. If you haven't already, make sure to like, share, again, comment your thoughts below. Is it your favorite episode, your least favorite episode? Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell, that way you don't miss any of my other content. Right now, we got reviews for the Suicide Squad, Free Guy early review. We'll be talking more about the Suicide Squad over the weekend, so I hope you all are enjoying the content. Hope you all are staying safe, and we'll see you in the next video.